college sports is a lucrative industry. I'm going to share how colleges and universities make large amounts of money from college athletes. I want you to be able to understand how college athletes are exploited and used by colleges and universities, and how they are not allowed to make money off their own talents. University and college sports is a lucrative industry that uses the definition to define athletes as amateurs to pay college athletes a salary. Every year, thousands of college athletes across America sign the National Collegiate Athletic Association's Form 08-3A, the Student Athletic Form, waiving their name right there for their name and image. Like these students, they work hard and devote a lot of time in the classroom. However, athletes spend additional hours training and practicing for their college teams. This form defines as student athletes as amateurs who cannot receive payment for playing their sports. While their schools and coaches make millions of dollars in salaries and endorsement deals, and some of them are the highest paid public employees in many states, student athletes cannot earn a single penny from their college athletic careers. College athletics is a lucrative industry. The most visible sports are men's football and men's basketball. Generate massive amounts of money. According to Michael Smith, John R., and our Sports Business Journal, the 12 universities of the Southeastern Conference received $205 million from CBS and ESPN for the right to broadcast its football and basketball games. Even more money comes in from video games, clothing, and similar licensing. In 2010, the New York Times reported that NCAA licensing deals are estimated at more than $4 billion a year. Coaches' salaries are even more outlandish. For example, John Calipari is paid more than $4 million a year for a basketball program that makes $35 to $40 million a year, more than 10% of the entire revenue. Tom Van Ripper, a sports writer for Forbes magazine, observes that no corporate CEO demands this large of the profits. He notes that if Steve Ballmer, the CEO of Microsoft, would make over $6 billion a year. How can colleges and universities allow advertisers, arena owners, concession workers, athletic gear manufacturers, retailers, game companies, and media moguls, along with colleges and university officials, to make millions of dollars and not pay the stars of their show nothing? Here's your answer. Colleges and universities define athletes as amateurs. Not only student athletes are not paid for playing their sports, they cannot endorse products. This could be a violation of their right to free speech. The NCAA, an organization of colleges and universities, force student athletes to sign their rights away. It says it is protecting their students. If a student athlete shall accept money, the NCAA argues that it might be exploited, cheated, or even bribed. Taking money out of the equation is supposed to let the student athlete to focus on academics and preserve the status of an amateur status of college sports. Definition of amateur began in the 19th century in Britain when team sports became popular. According to Princeton historian and scholar Andrew Zimlis, the middle class and upper class students in college had ample time to play their sports, while working class students had only a half a day off. No sports were played on Sunday during that era. Middle class and upper class students did not want to play against working class teams, so they made the distinction between amateurs and professionals. Meanwhile, the definition of amateur came to the U.S. where college sports became popular in the 1880s. Shortly thereafter, top college programs like Yale had slush funds to pay college athletes and used ringers, players who were not students. The Olympic Games maintained the amateur-professional distinction until 1988, but it was long evident that the communist bloc nations were paying athletes to train full-time, and Western nations were paying athletes through endorsement contracts. The only Olympic sport that requires amateur status is boxing. The college sports empire in the U.S. is run by the NCAA, is the last bastion of amateurism for sports that draw audience large enough to be televised. I just told you how colleges define amateurism, but let's discuss how universities and colleges can be fair to all students. Universities and colleges can define the policy of amateurism by extending this to all students. A fair policy would be to treat all students the same. The Butler School of Music at the University of Texas in Austin has many student musicians who perform at the professional level according to the university's website. The university advises all students on how to negotiate a contract and get paid for their performances. Then take Emma Watson, who enrolled in Brown University in Rhode Island and was able to work as an actress in the Harry Potter movies while still a student in the university's theater department. Could you imagine Brown University officials telling Watson that she would have to make the next 2 Harry Potter films for free instead of the $5 million she had been offered? Compared to musicians and actors, student athletes may have the greater need to earn money while still in colleges. Their professional careers are likely to be much shorter. College may be the only time some athletes have the opportunity to capitalize on their success. Student athletes often leave school with permanent injuries and no medical insurance or job prospects, whereas musicians and actors rarely suffer career-ending injuries on the job. We see how musicians and actors could profit from their talents. Athletes should have the same rights. Student athletes are prevented from profiting from their name and image. The NCAA says there preserves their standing as amateurs and protects them from celebrity and media frenzies surrounding professional sports stars. Search for a Tim Tebow jersey online, and anyone can buy officially branded Florida Gator shirts ranging in price from $34 to $349.99, autographed by Tebow. Andrew Zimbalist says the NCAA, the University of Florida, Nike, and other parties involved in the production of the sale of these products gets around the production of using an amateur's name by using his team number instead. Tebow's name doesn't appear anywhere on the jerseys, just his number. Yet all these jerseys are identified as official Tim Tebow Gators merchandise, and they are bought by the fans of Tebow rather than by the people who just like the number 15. Nobody says know how much money these jerseys made from Nike or the NCAA. What we know amount is Tim Tebow has made off these jerseys, nothing. Meanwhile, his school makes all the money using the Tebow's name. Universities and the NCAA would be wise to return to the older definition of amateur, which comes from Latin through Old French, meaning lover of. Instead, they exploit student athletes. Being an amateur doesn't necessarily have to do anything with money. Any of us students, whether we are a jazz performer or a dancer or an athlete, the amateur ought to be considered someone to be in love with an activity, and someone who cares and studies about the activity and practices it to be highly proficient. If they are lucky enough to be paid, so be it.